in class. I go to other yoga classes from time to time, and I will use Ujjayi all the way from the beginning of the class all the way to the end, whether the teacher mentions it or not. I find it is the best accelerator for whatever is happening in a class. It is a very internalizing form of breath work, and it just does wonderful things for the thyroid, which is your mood and your metabolism. So let's make yourself comfortable, whatever that means to you, whether it's lying on your back or hanging from the ceiling. I really don't mind, as long as you're comfortable and you can relax. I'll give you several explanations or examples or metaphors, if I possibly can, so that you can choose which one works best for you. You can, of course, first of all, tune in to this very moment and be present however you do that, whether that's by hearing the hum of the traffic outside, and I pause to give you a moment to do that. Whether it's the music inside the room, and I give you a moment to do that. And we start on the outside and gradually bring you in. In your throat is a tiny part of the throat called the glottis. And if you tighten the glottis very slightly, or tense the glottis very slightly, it's a bit like a snoring sound. And sometimes this is indeed called the snoring breath. Although the snore is not an overt, loud snore that you can hear from outside of yourself. It's just an awareness of the breath as it passes naturally through your throat each time. So very lightly tensing the back of the throat, just enough to be able to hear in your ears the sound of the breath as it comes and goes. Sometimes this is called the snoring breath. Sometimes this is called the oceanic breath, because it's almost as if when you listen in your ears, it's like the sound of a distant ocean, the same sound as when you bring a shell to your ear and you're lying at the beach somewhere. And that in and out that we all actually know so well, because it's a sound you hear as you drift off to sleep, with the breath passing through, stimulating the back of the throat and the thyroid too. A fleshy shaped bow tie just at the collarbones there. And so whenever you think of it during class, to come back to this easy, relaxed way of breathing and hearing the sound of the breath in the ears, the oceanic breath, the snoring breath. Some people call this the whispering breath, because it's really the same way of using the throat as when you're whispering. And you just breathe in with this, and you breathe out again. Sometimes it's called the mirror fogging breath, because that's the breath you use to fog a mirror. So sometimes you'd get students to actually imagine fogging a mirror as they breathe out, and then gradually get them to stay with this while they close the mouth, and that breath then translates up through the nasal passages and through the nostrils. Although the sound of the breath stays at the throat in Ujjayi, balances everything from here on down, and balances the mind, draws the mind halfway within, this midpoint between the heart and the head. So this is Ujjayi breathing, and it's quite a natural breath. It's one that happens by itself. But always useful to bring students' attention to this amazingly balancing way of breathing. But take a moment to notice the quieting effects that this form of breath has on your mind. And then find yourself starting to move toes and fingers and to stretch and yawn. And only when you're ready,